Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com with your morning horn of disease, just sip of not chaga coffee. I don't need chaga with me. Okay, silver is down today because they're gunning for those moving averages again. This is how the game is played. Silver will not be freely traded until the COMEX is shut down. So just remember that no matter what happens, it's still under their control. 100% every trade, the COMEX needs to shut down. And so that'll happen one day, probably when it breaks over $30. But in the meantime, the COMEX is bleeding inventory. Look at the registered inventory down another 4,000 contracts to 40,150,448 ounces. 40,150,448 ounces in the registered category. It has been bleeding for months. This is the lowest it's been since October 23rd, 2017. Open interest is now equal to 200% of vaulted silver and 1,591% of registered silver. This is insane, but this is the way the COMEX has been played since the 1970s, since the early 70s, when the computer programs were implemented and the COMEX was invented. Futures and options in silver to control the price. That has always been the plan. It has been admitted to many times by the officials. If you don't have futures and options as part of an asset trading, you can't control the price. That's why they're trying to introduce all these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency futures, options, swaptions, derivatives, because they think they can control the price. Remember what Gary Gensler said. These banks want to control it all. They're very good at making money. Yeah, by cheating, stealing, and raping people for money. Gary Gensler should know. He was the head of the CFTC when JP Morgan the JP Morgan silver desk was run by a woman named Blythe Masters. Blythe Masters grew up at JP Morgan, really spread credit default swaps. She built that industry like you would not believe, up to $50 billion in credit default swaps, causing the 2008 crash. Now she's supposedly the derivative expert, but she causes the problems. She doesn't help anything. She should be in jail with the JP Morgan traders. She was their boss. Gary Gensler told Bart Chilton of the CFTC not to prosecute JP Morgan when Bart was like, these guys are way off sides. Now, Bart Chilton admitted this in an interview with Chris Marcus. Everybody knows of the crimes that they commit. Just keep that in mind. So now we're coming to a really interesting time. You got to figure out where the silver problems really are, the silver derivative problems. We know that JP Morgan leased about 1.2 billion silver ounces, unbelievable, 10 times what the Hunt brothers were dealing with. 1.2 billion ounces to Bank of America, who did some structured deals with a bunch of banks. Somebody ended up with that silver, and I believe it to be Warren Buffett, indirectly. But let's keep looking. Alistair McLeod says, I'm hearing rumors from two unrelated sources that Credit Suisse is losing its metals desk. Could Credit Suisse be one of the victims of that silver transaction from JP Morgan? I think it's possible. Remember, Bear Stearns, that's what took Bear Stearns down, the silver short position. The silver short position has been handed off and handed off and handed off. So if it is really a silver problem that they're having, or silver and gold problem, it's very interesting, because guess who they added to the board of directors? Drum roll, please. Miss Blythe Masters. There she is, board member. She is currently the chairperson of Credit Suisse since this year. You don't think they have a gold and silver derivative problem? We know they have a derivative problem, but it's probably gold and silver. Blythe Masters is the chairman of Credit Suisse. Just insane. It's like you can't make this shit up. She belongs in jail. She doesn't belong running these companies. It's just shocking. And then more news on Credit Suisse. Their stock is soaring today. Credit Suisse stock soars. CDS tightens on debt buyback. Now they're talking about a debt buyback because they want to borrow more money. They have to shore up their credit. So they're buying back their debt. This is just crazy. This is the same move that, who was it? Deutsche Bank did the same thing way back when the Deutsche Bank was going under. Buy back your debt, and then ultimately they get a bailout. The Deutsche Bank bailout was behind the scenes. China bailed out Deutsche Bank of their derivative position, at least partially. And here's a quote from S&P. The bond buyback is Credit Suisse's way of muddling through the current situation as they hope to bring down its CDS spreads before they tap the bond market again to raise capital. So they're buying back debt so that they can put more debt on. Now, debt today is a hell of a lot more expensive. Well, they're trying to raise capital, so they can't raise debt. There's the problem. This is just insane. This is absolutely insane. But if she is involved, you can bet it's gold and silver derivatives. Thank you, Blythe, once again for destroying the global economic system. Crazy. Not to mention crazy. Putin, a couple days ago, said we're going to accept cryptocurrencies, and then now Europe bans Russians from its crypto markets. This is such a great case of showing why cryptos are so great. Because they can't ban Russians unless those Russians go on these criminal exchanges. Do not go on exchanges or they will take your money and they will freeze your accounts. Cryptos are a way out of the criminal banking system, and Europe doesn't like that. The EU hates that, so they're banning. Just days after Russia's Ministry of Finance announced plans to let any industry in the country accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for international trade without restriction, the EU has imposed a sweeping ban on providing cryptocurrency services to Russians as part of their 8th round of sanctions. The EU is the most dictatorial leadership in all the world right now. It is insane what these crazy hyper-left, the EU, get out of Europe. If you live in Europe, get out. Just run for the hills, because they are dead set on destroying your country. Just like Joe Biden's dead set on destroying my country. I don't think he'll get away with it, but they're dead set on it. And Europe, the EU, looks like they're getting away with it, which is crazy. You put a crazy bunch of liberal bankers in charge of your money, they're going to try to destroy it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to destroy the entire country. Europe needs to go back to their own individual currencies, or just all go on cryptocurrencies. You'll be fine. All right, really cool stuff here from Leak Project. People are sending this about this facility in the Grand Canyon. This is right near the confluence. There's so many Grand Canyon secrets in these caves and monuments, and they're not Egyptian, by the way. Even the stuff in Egypt, I wouldn't even call Egyptian, although they reside in Egypt now. They were built by people far more capable than the Egyptians with straw and mud type of thing. But the Grand Canyon, I've been screaming about the Grand Canyon and the gold in the Grand Canyon and the Road to Ruta documents. So I saw this, secret entrances in the Grand Canyon to ancient civilization. And it's a good discussion on the Leak Project, but they don't know what I know as far as the caves in the Grand Canyon and the gold that's in these caves. So I wanted to make sure that it was actually there, and there it is. Look at that. This is Google Maps. Let me go out. Show you that this is, in fact, the Grand Canyon. There's the Grand Canyon. Yeah, it's right there. So there's the confluence right here, and that's where the cave is. And you can even go there. Just go to Point Imperial. There's a parking area, but this is halfway down a cliff. Look at that. Look at that. Right there. It very reminiscent of all those like edifices carved in the Middle East into these stone walls. And go in that canyon and see what you find, and go into those caves. The problem is the National Wildlife Grand Canyon people won't let you go into caves. They won't let you go anywhere. So, I mean, how long has Ruta been talking about the gold in the Grand Canyon? Absolutely. Cobblestone Canyon. This is Ruta sitting on, it's Alan Greenspan sitting on Arthur Burns' lap. And Arthur Burns is telling him, hey, Alan, don't mess with these guys. They're big. They're going to step on you. The big people. Those are the bankers and the cabal and all that. And Ruta says, I'm not afraid. And where does she find the golden light? In Cobblestone Canyon, in the caves of Cobblestone Canyon, which is the Grand Canyon. There was a big one. They found all this gold in there and artifacts, ancient artifacts, all this stuff. And then they kept looking, and they found another cave, another entrance to Colorland. And they kept finding caves, and then they found this gold deposit that was so deep in the ground, they couldn't reach it. We'll never be able to reach it. And they keep looking for the caves. And then they start the petrodollar. This is what the Road to Ruta comic book is all about. It's about the caves in the Grand Canyon, the gold found all around the world. It's not just the Grand Canyon. Chocolate Mountain Military Range has massive gold mines right in there. They flew, Dianne Feinstein flew all these senators out there just to look at a gold mine in California that is within a military base. This is what these are the secrets that are starting to be revealed. Cliff Hyatt calls them the secrets revealed in his data, but this is a good one. The secret entrances in the Grand Canyon to ancient civilization remains. Go check that out at Leak Project, and then relate it to, and then you can find this spot yourself. It's right below. It's not easy to find, but you go to Google Maps, go to Point Imperial, and it's like down and a little to the left. This is on the side of a sheer face cliff, by the way, and right there. There's the entrance to another one of Ruta's golden caves. Anyway, we'll be digging into this a lot more. There's so many more secrets in the Grand Canyon. It's crazy. But this is all part of the new gold standard that we will be going on. What does Ruta write in the sand in the comic book? 9/11, 11 plus 9, right there. This is coming from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, by the way. And this is the only comic book they've produced. Now, the Bank of New York has produced a few, and I'm in a couple of them. They call me Glix, and I run around with a guitar and sing about the Federal Reserve. Classic. It's just classic. You can't make this stuff up. So hang in there. As far as you silver lovers, hang in there. I mean, they're going to gun for the 50 and 100-day moving averages that just blew by. So they're going for around 20, and then they'll shoot for $20.40 or $19.46. That's the way the game is played. Guys like Gary Gensler, and now the guy is Rustam Benham. They've already said they tamp down the price of silver if it starts going too high. This is America, and this is these are the criminals we need to get rid of. All right, that's your update. If you are interested in the Road to Ruta stuff, go to roadtoruta.com, hit subscribe today. And we are currently, at least right now, giving away 1 silver Ruta coin for every 1-year membership. And that will stop when silver hits $30. We're going to stop giving these away. So get your Ruta coin. They're individually numbered with a certificate of authenticity. Double strike, hand-painted Ruta coin. Get yours today at roadtoruta.com. Subscribe to a 1-year or renew your subscription, and we'll send you a coin as well. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.